Whoever created this programming language really wasn't that creative. I mean, we've looked at the if statement, we've looked at the if-else statement, and now we have to look at the else-if statement. I mean, seriously, someone buy this guy a dictionary. I'm tired of looking at the same words all the time. It's getting kind of confusing. So the else-if statement that we're going to be looking at today is going to resemble the switch. And if you remember back to a few videos ago, we looked at the switch, which allowed us to execute a certain piece of code depending on the value of a variable. So the example I gave you guys in that video was we had our user input how many kids they have, and we would have specialized pieces of code for each answer we could expect to receive, right? So say they were to say they have 0 kids, we had a message sent back to them regarding them having 0 kids. If they said that they had 1 kid, we had a special message printed out. If they had 2 kids, 3 kids, 4, we had examples for everything. And in the event that we didn't have any eligible answer that we had prepared, we had the default, which would send a message no matter what. Now that switch was awesome. However, we only were allowed to send a concrete number, right? Or concrete variable value. We couldn't have ranges, right? So in the event that, we wouldn't sit there and make 100 different options for each type of variable they could enter. I mean, I don't know how many kids they want to have. The switch is going to be kind of limited. So say we want to have a range instead, right? Say we want to have like a condition like less than 50, right? So if it's something's less than 50 or less than 25 or whatever, as specific as you want to get, that's what we want to create. And that's what the else if statement is going to allow us to do. It's going to allow us to have that range. And you're going to see exactly what this is going to do. So to start off, I do need to create an if statement. So I'll start off with the variable x, and I'll assign that a value of 5. I'm going to go ahead and create an if statement. So I'm going to write if, and in the brackets, we have to put our condition. So this first condition is going to be false, right? I'm going to say if x is greater than 100. Well, we know that's not true, right? Because we see that x is assigned a value of 5. So this automatically will not be displayed, and it's not going to be able to look inside of this to see that I'm going to write the x is greater than 100, right? This is not true. This is not going to be executed. It's going to look this over. Now, if I was going to be designing an else statement, we'd write the keyword else down here, and I would write an output in here, and I would say something along the lines of x is not greater than 100. And that's fun, right? We've seen this so far, and if I go ahead and run this, we see it says x is not greater than 100 because, well, we know that 5 is not greater than 100, at least on this planet it's not. However, this is kind of boring, right? We just have the true and we have the false, right? That doesn't really give us anything to really work with, so we're going to use the else if keyword. Now, you're going to use this after your if statement, and assuming that your if statement is skipped over, it's going to go and take a look at the next thing. And you can put as many of these else if statements as you want. You can kind of see where we're going to be going with this. And as soon as you find something in this whole pattern of if, else if, and else keywords that works, then you're going to stop looking at them. So remember that. So whoops, whoa. Okay, I almost had a heart attack there. I accidentally deleted everything. I was about to start crying. So we have else if over here. I'm going to go ahead and put a condition inside of this. Remember, the else, when you have the keyword else, you don't have a condition with it because it's the other thing, right? So if everything else is not true, you're going to look inside of the else. You don't really need to put a condition because if you arrive there, well, you know that you don't really have any options available to you anyway. So if else if, you are going to have to put a condition. So I can say if x is greater than 50 over here. Well, we know this is still not true, but I need to have a few examples in here. So system out print line x is greater than 50 right there. So now we know that if x is not greater than 100, we can try x is greater than 50. And you have to assume that if you did skip over this if statement over here, because like I said, as soon as we find something in this pattern over here that's going to work, you're going to stop looking, right? So you're not going to go ahead and put x is greater than 500 because there's a pretty good chance that if x is not greater than 100, it's not going to be greater than 500 either. I mean, it's pretty simple. So that's going to be false as well. So we're going to have to skip over that. I'm going to go ahead into the next one here. We just go ahead and write else if again, and I'll write x is greater than 10. So we're going to work our way down. And I'll put the output in here. I'm going to go ahead and say x is greater than 10. Well, that's still not true, right? So we're going to have to make one more. And I'm going to go ahead and make one that's actually going to be true. I'm going to put x is greater than 3, which we know is true. So I'll go ahead and put a system out print line x is greater than 3. Well, there we get something that's going to work, right? Now, what happens if we want to go ahead and actually put one more, just to see what happens in the event that we have two things inside of our else if chain that we've created over here, which are true. So if I say that x is greater than 2, well, that's true as well. So what are we going to get? Just to confirm that we're only going to get one thing back, x is greater than 2. And now typically, a good practice is to make sure that you put the else at the end, right? This is going to be your default, for example, as we saw with the string, right? So in the, not the string, the switch. In the event that we go through all of these and nothing is true, well, you have to have something in the end over here, which is going to be the else. And you're not going to have a condition for else because it just assumes that if you arrive at the end, you really don't have any say in anything anymore. System out, print line, life sucks for you, right there. You get all the way to the end, nobody wants you, well, the else is going to take you. So yeah, life sucks. So we have all these things over here, right? So when you have x is assigned a value of 5, it's going to look down here. Is x greater than 100? Well, nope, I can't even look inside of there. Is x greater than 50? Well, no, I can't look inside of there. Is x greater than 10? Nope, I can't look inside of there. And now we have two things that are true. So which one is going to print out on screen? So go ahead and run this and see what's going to happen. We see x is greater than 3. So this one over here, the first one, reading top to bottom that ends up being true is going to be the one you take, and that's how the else if works. So this one here will not be displayed because it's not the first one that would occur. If I were to delete this, then it would be the first one being down there, and that would be what happens. Let's actually just go ahead and test that out. We see I can run this. Now x is greater than 2. And if I were to go ahead and delete this all together, we can see that now nothing is going to be true. So it's going to have to go to the else statement. And yeah, life sucks for us right there. So that's how the if-else statement works. You can kind of see how it's a switch that allows you to have those ranges, right? With the conditions, x is greater than something. You have those conditions, which makes it a little bit more flexible than the switch was that we saw earlier on. Thank you very much for watching. If you have any questions regarding the else-if statement or anything else regarding the words if and else and statement, leave them in the comments below and I'll respond to you as soon as possible. Thank you very much for watching this video, and I will see you guys in the next video in this series.